Welcome back to another amp dyno video. Today I'm very proud and happy that I can present a dyno video of a real classic. This is a Rockford Fosgate Punch 75 HD, which is from 1992 if I'm right. And this one is rated 37.5 watts into a form load of continuous power. This little amplifier had some issues. The left channel was very low at volume and had a crackling sound in it. I found out that there was a problem with the input module. The small board, which is directly behind the RCA jacks, there are some capacitors. Always the same capacitor type, made problems in the early 90s. 10 microfarad, 16 volts, SMD silver. The problem was that these capacitors leaked out and the fluid damaged some traces. So I had to rewire the power supply connections. Now I can present the dyno video. Here in front you see the connections. You can plug in your RCAs. You have two knobs, one for the bass and one for the treble. The bass knob gives you a boost of 18 dB at 45 Hz. And the treble knob gives you a boost of 12 dB at 20 kHz. Molex connectors. I don't really like it. I prefer screw terminals. What I also didn't like was the battery plus and ground connectors. So I ordered some connectors, gold plated. Look at this, it's the only one I found. They can take up to 6 square millimeters. Then I built some adapters so I can connect my thicker cable to the amplifier. And finally I got a good connection, that because I want to make sure that I have a proper connection to the amplifier and to the power supply. This dyno video is also just possible because you keep sending amps. Thank you very much for this.
The little classic amplifier is connected to the dummy load and I'm starting as usual with continuous power test 1 kHz. An 8 ohm mono load is connected so we can measure the output power into a form load per channel, both channels driven. So my scope says I have a maximum voltage of 46.4 volts. We have 46.8 volts. Bridged mono 8 ohms. I measured 140 watts of continuous output power and that's 70 watts per channel. The amplifier almost doubled its output power. Not bad for this small amplifier. Same test, continuous power 4 ohms, both channels driven but this time with a 50 Hz input signal. I reduce until it looks good to me. That's okay. Scope says 45.6 volts. I have 46.4 volts. Even with a 50 Hz signal, the amplifier puts out 138 watts mono 8 ohms. That means 69 watts into a form load of continuous power with 50 Hz. Here you can see the idle current, it's around 0.6 amps. These meters are not very accurate with low current, so I put in my continuous power signal to the clipping point. And the amplifier is just pulling 15.1 amps. The amplifier has an efficiency of 67.6%. After a 4 ohm test per channel, the amplifier is amazingly cool, not even warm. I would say about 20 or 25 degrees, not more. Now the amplifier is connected to a 4 ohm mono load. That means this test is 2 ohms per channel, both channels driven, continuous power 1 kHz. Stop it. Try to adjust it a little bit higher. Or we run into clipping and go lower until I'm satisfied with the look of the signal. It's okay. And scope says 42.4 volts. Now let's calculate with 42 volts. The 75 HD puts out 226 watts. Bridged mono 4 ohms, that's 113 watts into a 2 ohm load of continuous output power. Same test, continuous power into a 2 ohm load, of course both channels driven, but this time with a 50 Hz signal. Clipping, fine tuning. That looks good. We still have 40.8 volts, says the scope. Try to check it out. Yeah, 40.8 volts with 50 Hz. The amplifier puts out 213 watts, mono 4 ohms, that's 106.5 watts per channel into a 2 ohm load, both channels driven. Watch this, I made a second run with 1 kHz with this signal, and then I have 240 watts. Now I am testing the efficiency of the amplifier. Don't get fooled by this indicator of the voltage. It's not 13.8, it's definitely 13.71. Under load it will go back to 13.7 volts. I start. 27.4.3 amps. The amplifier still has an efficiency of 60.4%. Now I'm doing a 2 ohms mono test because the amplifier is still very cool. No signs of heat. I catch it all cycles same voltage level. I just travel to the last cycle. If there's clipping, if yes, I will go to adjust it. Small signs of clipping. Yeah, that's nice. Nice signal. And I go here. And it looks okay. Go to the center. No clip here. 2 ohms mono is 1 ohm per channel. And I still have 35.6. Let's take 35.2 volts. The Punch 75 HD delivers mono 2 ohms, 310 watts and 155 watts into a 1 ohm load per channel, both channels driven. With just 8 cycles I have 36 volts and we can use 36 volts. With 8 cycles the amplifier delivers 324 watts, mono 2 ohms and 162 watts into a 1 ohm load per channel, both channels driven. Now testing with just 1 cycle and we have an absolute peak voltage of 39.2 volts. With 1 cycle the amplifier puts out mono 2 ohms, 384 watts or 192 watts into a 1 ohm load per channel, both channels driven. Even with a 2 ohms mono test, that means 1 ohms per channel, the amplifier stays pretty cool. That's impressive. All the other punches I had on the bench were much warmer, almost hot. Should we try 1 ohm mono? 1 ohm mono test. All cycles same voltage level. I will allow some signs of clipping in this case because a 1 ohm mono load is a half ohm to 1 channel. Okay, we have some clipped. But let's check it out. The amplifier is still playing. No protection circuit is kicking in. Just for fun, I go 1 ohm mono. The amplifier is producing power. Usually they cut down the peaks and the protection circuit kicks in. And we have a voltage of 28 volts with 20 cycles. Amplifier still gets stronger. And a 1 ohm mono load, the amplifier puts out with 20 cycles 392 watts. That's 196 watts into a half ohm per channel, both channels driven. With 8 cycles the amplifier puts out the same like with 20 cycles. Now I go to just 1 cycle to check out what the absolute peak power is, what the amplifier can deliver into a 1 ohm mono load or half ohm per channel. By the way, the amplifier is still very cold. That's impressive. Now testing with just 1 cycle. I just want to demonstrate what happens if I put too much signal level into the amplifier. The amp will still produce such a signal, no negative waveform. So I go back And I have clean cycle. Maybe I can get it higher. Signs of clipping or queuing. Okay, it's a dirty signal and clipped on the negative. I will reduce. Yeah, that's okay. 31.6 volts. Scope says 32 volts. Let's calculate with 31.6 volts. With just one cycle, the amplifier puts out 500 watts, mono 1 ohm, and 250 watts into 1/2 ohm per channel, both channels driven, but just for 1 millisecond. This test is just for fun. You can hear it on my power supply. The amp is still running at 1/2 ohm per channel. There you have it. But I'm really surprised. Amplifier is almost cool. Great amplifier, very impressive. Just in case you don't believe it, this resistor is just a 1 ohm resistor connected to the Punch 75 HD.
As I said several times before, I'm impressed about this little amplifier, and let me know in the comments what kind of experiences did you make in the past with this little classic. I hope to see you all again in the next dyno video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.